What up, people? What's good? Salute.
Yes, sir.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Salute to the tribe. We're hip hop and comics and hip hop. We're a niche channel. We're a niche channel reserved for the best. What up, y'all? Welcome to the sixth element of hip hop. This is indie hip hop and comics, Wu-Tang Wednesday, and we about to chop it up. We got a lot to talk about. Obi-Wan Kenobi series, a lot of Star Wars stuff, a couple of Moon Knight tidbits we're gonna get into today, and we're gonna chop. I'm Reno Noir, your host, and this is my co-host Stu Dog. What's good, Stu?
What's good?
Yes, in the building. We got some Boba Fett action. We got some Wu-Tang Wednesday action. Grogu loves the Wu. We're going to get into it. Def Chimp, what's good, Def Chimp? We got the bananas. It's bananas, y'all. It's bananas.
It's bananas.
All right. It's kind of like this is a quick impromptu episode where we got all kinds of just a mashup of different tidbits about the Obi-Wan Kenobi release. You've got the release date, obviously. We know it's May 25th. We can't wait. Wait, is it May 25th? Yes, May 25th. I was thinking March
25th.
May 25th. It's so far away. I kept thinking it was March, but that's Batman. We got Batman coming up. But yes, Obi-Wan. Star Wars rumor may spoil Obi-Wan Kenobi's Luke Skywalker plot. New rumors explain how young Luke Skywalker could factor into Disney Plus's Obi-Wan Kenobi series. According to the report from Making Star Wars, the series will follow Jedi Master Kenobi living a quiet life on Tatooine as he attempts to avoid the Imperial Inquisitors scouring the galaxy for any Jedi that survived Order 66. And I hope that we see Inquisitors because they're cool as hell. They've been in the animated shows like Rebels and Bad Batch, stuff like that. They're really cool Sith Inquisitors. And on top of that, Kenobi also plays the role of Luke's protector at the time of the series. Luke is under the care of his uncle Owen Lars, who worries that Obi-Wan's proximity to Luke could bring that potential danger. And that's why, if you remember in the old show, Stu, remember how the uncle was really reluctant to even tell Luke about Obi-Wan and sort of
Right.
He kind of kept it from him.
Right.
And I always wondered why. But Order 66, the uncle knew that Obi-Wan might bring Imperial troops and Sith and bad guys and all of that. So that's why he wanted to keep him from him, because he felt like he would attract, danger.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember when he tried to act like he didn't know who Obi-Wan was.
Yeah. He's like, old Ben. Yeah, old Ben, the old hermit.
Right.
Old hermit, old wizard. But it was cool. I thought it was really cool how they sort of made him like he was like an old wizard, and they sort of made, and I like how they talked to Darth Vader. His staff he said something like, we don't believe in your sorcerer's ways. So it was cool, like back in the 70s, 80s, where medieval Lord of the Rings, Dungeons and Dragons type fantasy was all the rage, and this was a space opera, but they sort of used wizards and sorcerers terminology to I always thought that was cool. But the rumor states that the series will introduce a new Jedi named Nari, who arrives on Tatooine in search of Kenobi. The presence of Nari brings the Inquisitors to the desert planet, putting Luke in even more danger. And shortly after the arrival of the Inquisitors, Owen observes their brutality, which leads to Lars blocking Kenobi's attempts to give Luke a gift. With trouble brewing on Tatooine and Kenobi's presence, both physical and in the Force, putting young Luke at risk, leaving the planet for a short period becomes more integral to Luke's safety than staying. He could do him more of a service of helping him by being far away from him rather than sort of being around to sort of protect him, because they would have no idea where he was if not for Obi-Wan. So other right? And other reported plot details for Obi-Wan Kenobi state that around the time Kenobi was contacted by Bail Organa after the kidnapping of his young charge, Princess Leia. And this leads to Kenobi to rescuing Leia from a cantina-like establishment somewhere away from Tatooine. And an official synopsis for Obi-Wan has yet to be released by either Disney or Lucasfilm. So for now, these are only rumors. But Ewan McGregor is confirmed to be reprising his role, obviously, as Obi-Wan. Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. The pair last appeared on screen together in 2005, Star Wars Episode 6, Revenge of the Sith, which saw an epic lightsaber battle between the two on the fiery planet of Mustafar. And Obi-Wan said, "Don't try it. I've got the high ground." But Anakin's rage wouldn't let him, use his mind, and he tried to jump up over him, and he got all his limbs removed.
You got beat down.
Yeah,
you got to beat down.
Turn him into a chicken nugget, fried and crispy. With no legs, no arms. But McGregor talked about the great experience he had filming the Kenobi TV show and singled out the director, Deborah Chow, for her great knowledge of all things Star Wars. And I love that we have a director who is a fan and very knowledgeable about Star Wars. That's very promising because, like we've talked about before, Lucasfilm at Disney, they like to hire people that aren't fans or don't know about the lore, which, as writers, which never made sense to me. But the director, Deborah Chow, is a fan. She has a vast knowledge of it. And he also addressed starring alongside Christensen, saying again, I think it's no secret that Hayden Christensen comes back and we got to play scenes together as Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. And it was great to work with him again, he said. And the actor also had a few words for fans who have waited a long time to see the continuation of Kenobi's story, saying, "I'm not going to give anything away else about the storyline, only I think it's really going to satisfy Star Wars fans." And this premieres on May 25th. And that's what we want, right? We want something that's going to, please the fans. We want some fan action, right?
So we need it.
We need it. We need it. Now, how Obi-Wan Kenobi series can set up Mandalorian season 3 is very cool. Disney Plus's upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi could lay the foundations for the Mandalorian season 3. The Book of Boba Fett recently played such a role, as well as in its final 3 episodes, by furthering Din Djarin's and Grogu's storyline. Obi-Wan Kenobi takes place years earlier, but the series might provide world building and lore integral to plot driving The Mandalorian, because it all takes place on Tatooine. Din Djarin's current narrative surrounds not only his relationship with Grogu, but his place in Mandalorian history as the Darksaber's current owner and potential Mandalore. The Darksaber, if won in combat, makes its wielder the Mandalore, or the ruler of all Mandalorians. And this puts Mando in direct conflict with Bo-Katan Kryze, who once ruled the Mandalore with the Darksaber, and also Tar Vizsla, the big dude, not Tar Vizsla, but his descendant that he fought at the end of Book of Boba Fett. So he's in conflict with a few people that want that spot. And since losing both Blade and Planet, she wants the weapon and her home and her throne back. In the Book of Boba Fett, let me let Sata in. Sata, what's good?
Hey.
How you doing? We talking about Boba Fett. We talking about Obi-Wan, Star Wars, and all the upcoming series. Right now we're talking about how Obi-Wan could help set up Mandalorian season 3.
Gotcha.
Since losing both Blade and Planet, she wants the weapon and her throne back. In the Book of Boba Fett, the armorer tells Mando that by claiming the throne, even though the Darksaber was given to her and not won in combat, Bo-Katan cursed the planet. Under her, Mandalore was destroyed by the Empire. Mando's sect, the Children of the Watch, only survived because they were sequestered on a moon of Mandalore called Concordia. And the armorer also reveals that Mandalore Tar Vizsla, creator of the Darksaber, was both Mandalorian and Jedi. Unfortunately, there's still many crucial holes in the armorer's story. However, Ewan McGregor has hinted at the presence of flashbacks in Obi-Wan series because Obi-Wan spent so much time among Mandalorians during the Clone Wars. If you remember the show, the Clone Wars, and of course
Right.
the movies, the prequels, Obi-Wan was like General Obi-Wan, and he had all the clones and Mandalorians as well, fighting with them. And this series provides an opportunity to reveal more about the Mandalorian history that has become one of the foundations for Din Djarin's journey. And as a result, Obi-Wan Kenobi can reveal several key details that could prove crucial in Mandalorian season 3. Obi-Wan spends time both before and during the Clone Wars on Mandalore, even falling in love with its ruler, Duchess Satine Kryze Bo-Katan's sister. So that's going to be hell of interesting. And he witnesses and participates in many pivotal events in Mandalorian history that affect the plot of The Mandalorian. And one of these is the conflict between Satine and the Death Watch, shown in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Stu, did you watch the Clone Wars? Were you watching that show?
Yeah, I watched all of them.
You watched all of them? Yeah.
All of
So,
them.
so like Obi-Wan and the Mandalorians have a history, and so
Yes,
it's
they
gonna
have a
be really
very
cool.
yeah. It's very deep because the Clone Wars are actually canon.
Mhm.
The Clone Wars was actually made to be an in between story for the movies because we never really
Yeah,
got to see the Clone Wars. We
between
just got that
episodes
second
5 and
movie.
6. Yeah,
Yeah,
just between
it was that
Attack of the
second
Clones
movie.
and Sith and Revenge of the Sith, right? Between the third and fourth prequel, or sorry, the second and third prequel.
First and second.
It's
First and
between the
second.
first and second. It's not after the second. Yeah, you sure? Because they
Some of
go
it,
up to
most of
where
it,
he
some
becomes
of it.
Darth
No,
Vader.
because right. Well, this is how they work it. You got the first movie, then you got the Clone Wars, then you got the
Mhm.
second movie, right? And then you got the third movie, and they did the animated Clone Wars was in between the first and second movie, and then the
I got
CGI
it.
Clone Wars was between the second and third movie, and then we got Rebels was everything that
Mhm.
happened after the third movie, like immediately
Right.
after the third movie.
Well, listen, we like to
So
keep it very factual on this show and have our facts straight. And I've got it here. I've got it in
Oh,
black and white.
snap.
So we want to make sure that we definitely have it right. But check it out,
yeah,
guys. Here it is. It is The Phantom Menace, right? Is the first one. Then Attack of the Clones, the second movie. Then the Clone Wars TV series. Then a book called Dark Disciple. Then Revenge of the Sith. So it is between part 2 and part 3, according to
yes, sir. Going to your boy, yeah.
so
Going to your boy.
yeah.
Because remember
But
we had two Clone Wars cartoons, and
yeah, well,
you had
there was
the
Clone
you
Wars
had
and
the
then Rebels, right?
no, you had the Clone Wars, the animated one, and then you had the CGI animation. That was they had like 6 seasons, and they just released the lost season of that one.
Yeah, the CGI one, yeah.
Yes, that's the one that's between those happen
Mhm.
between 2 and 3, and then the cartoon is everything that happened between 1 and 2. So they're
You mean
like they just fill in the gap.
the micro show, the micro series, like the little
Yeah,
2-minute
they were
episode
like
things?
right. If you put
Yeah,
them
yeah.
all together, it's like 2 hours. It's like 2 hours worth of
Mhm.
Star Wars if you put them all together. But if you look closely, that's where we first got General Grievous and those
Yeah,
cartoons because you didn't see General Grievous before that. And then when the movie came out, we were like, oh, that's what we like. All right, we know General Grievous from the cartoon
right.
because they didn't. A lot of people, if they didn't watch it, they were like, where did Grievous come from? Like where did this guy come from? But if you go back and you watch the cartoon, he was
Yeah.
in there. And I
Well,
think
the
Mace Windu
cartoons,
fought him
that's when
and
they
Anakin
came out in
fought
the
him.
timeline, but the show did definitely come out after the movies were over.
Which one?
The animated shows didn't come out till the prequels were done, but they take place.
Nah,
They
no,
didn't
not
come out
the
during.
cartoon one came out. The cartoon one was on Cartoon Network. That joint definitely came out before episode 2. That came out before that. I remember me and my son watched it because he was real excited, but they were short, and he was like, "Dad, why are they so short?" He was little then, man. He was like, "Dad," I was
Mhm.
like, "I don't know, son." but they were only like maybe like 10 minutes, 5 minutes or something like that. They were really short.
Yeah, I remember the Star Wars Clone Wars series. It was 2000 between two. It says 2004 and 2007. 2005.
Yeah, they were short. They
Summer
were really
TV
short.
animated. Yeah, 2005 and let's see. Phantom Menace was 1999. Yeah, so yeah, the shows definitely came out after the movies.
Which one? Phantom Menace was what, 99?
99.
Yeah. I remember watching those. I remember watching those Clone Wars joints before, like I said, because we didn't know who General Grievous was. Me and my son. So I was like, oh, damn, who's that guy? And I remember watching it. He was like excited. And then we saw the movie. The first scene of the movie, you see Grievous on a bridge. And they're talking to Grievous like they already knew who he was. Like, yeah, like he's like, oh, General Grievous. You know what I mean? So, like, you gotta, that those what you call it? Those Star Wars, those cartoon joints.
Yeah. Those were in 05.
Kathleen Kennedy, you can actually thank her for that because she said none of that was canon. Like none of that's canon. The books, none of that. None of that's canon. None of that matters. None of it matters. None of it's there.
Yeah, blah blah blah.
So
get her and what she talking about. I ain't sweating.
So a lot of the timelines that we see are fan made. They're made by fans or authors or people who just pieced it together from what they know.
Right.
And we got to take it because that's what we got. You know what I mean? That's
why I rock with books made by the company itself. And because see, these books are canon. Like it says, see, some of the books that they made, the books that they made after Force Awakens are canon. The Legends novels from back in the day are what she said were not canon. But like this says Journey to Star Wars The Force Awakens right here on the top of the book. So all this is canon. All these Chuck Wendig books, he did a trilogy. He did Aftermath, and then he did Aftermath Life Debt, Aftermath Empire's End. I got those hardcovers. And then there was Catalyst, a Rogue One story. So there's a lot of books that are canon. It's just those Legends novels from before The Force Awakens and stuff were made that she ridiculously tried to say wasn't canon, but that's all the lore. And I knew that the only reason she didn't want to make those canon was so that she could make Luke Skywalker not be the powerful Jedi that he became. Like she wanted him to be a hermit drinking out of walrus titties.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
You knew it was coming. I gotta drop the walrus titties.
Oh, I know. You upset about that, man. You've been upset about that for years, man.
I'm like, what the fuck?
I get it.
But yeah, one of these conflicts, one of these Bo-Katan, Obi-Wan, he spends time both before and during the Clone Wars on Mandalore and falling in love with Duchess Satine Kryze, which is Bo-Katan's sister. Bo-Katan from Mandalorian, the show, or Clone Wars. She was actually in Clone Wars way before the Mandalorian. And he witnesses and participates in many pivotal events in Mandalorian history that we were just talking about in the Clone Wars show, is why we were talking about the Clone Wars show if you just came in. But that effect, these things that he dealt with will affect the plot of The Mandalorian. And one of these is the conflict between Satine and the Death Watch, shown in Star Wars The Clone Wars. Satine sneaks to retire warlike Mandalorian culture and create a pacifist society on Mandalore. And I was like pulling my hair out watching Clone Wars and the pacifist Mandalorian sect. So when you see on The Mandalorian when Bo-Katan and the other guys, they land down and they're talking to Din, and he doesn't take his helmet off, and they do. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "What, you don't take your helmet off?" He's like, "No, fucking Mandalorians don't take their helmet off." And they're like, "Oh, you're one of those." So they created this whole pacifist society. I mean, and then Death Watch believes in the old warrior ways, which is where Din Djarin rocks with, and they want to overthrow Satine and her pacifist Mandalorians. It just makes no sense. Mandalorians are warriors. That's just what their culture
That's
is.
what
It's
they
what their
are, right? They're like
society is.
Klingons. Yeah, they're like Klingons. They're a warrior race. Yeah.
Right. They're just a warrior race. That's warrior culture, rather, I say. And she exiles them to Concordia, which is where the armorer said that the children of the Watch were during the Purge. And this hints that they might be descended from the Death Watch. And right now, there's no concrete backstory for the children of the Watch, and Mando himself does not seem to know his own history. However, since Obi-Wan's past is tied to the Mandalores, flashbacks taking place after the events of the Clone Wars could show how the sect began and why they stayed on Concordia. And since Obi-Wan is a Jedi and fought with the Mandalorians against other Mandalorians, the show could also explore the relationship between Mandalorians and Jedi, another unresolved source of tension in the Mandalorian show. Like, the armor additionally condemns not only Bo-Katan, but her whole family. She said, a mighty house that lost sight of the way. And, this is the way. And the Mandalorian does not disclose how House Kryze broke the Mandalorian creed. But so far, it has only shown Bo-Katan's sins, whereas Satine loses sight of the way just as badly by turning her back on all Mandalorian tradition. And since Obi-Wan visits Satine and fights with her against the Death Watch, his series has the opportunity to show Mandalore under Satine's rule, a point in the planet's history so far only shown in the Clone Wars CGI cartoon show. The stark contrast between Satine's regime and what the Mandalorian depicts as Mandalorian culture would further raise the stakes in the conflict over what it means to be a Mandalorian, which is an issue that has haunted the series from its beginning and continues to grow more fraught with, confusion. And Obi-Wan Kenobi could therefore potentially not only set up part of the plot for the Mandalorian season 3, but its key themes and emotional conflict as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's what that see. I'm on Wikipedia right now. They're saying that
Good old
the
Wiki.
Clone, yeah, Wikipedia. They're
Wiki-
saying that
Wikipedia, yeah.
the Clone Wars movie was really the debut of the series in 2008, appearing in theaters before the show followed a few months later. However, the first few seasons of the show had a habit of producing prequels, which were the cartoons of earlier episodes, and a couple of episodes actually take place before the movie, which were
Mhm.
the animated series.
They
There are
take place
numerous
before the
online
movie.
and before the series. There are
Yes.
numerous online sources listing the correct chronological episodic order.
Yeah, that's what I was
Since,
saying. Like, chronologically, where they take place,
right, but
but when they
that's
actually
right where they
air,
take place.
right?
That's different. But what they actually made was supposed to be depicted as something, because you had, like I said, you had fans that put them in order, like they went through, scoured it. So it says here that this is all referring to the CG animated series, like I was saying, and not the Gennady Tchaikovsky series of traditionally animated shorts that appeared in 2002.
Empire was good.
And then it says in between episodes 2 and 3, they are no longer considered canon. So the animated cartoon was, that's what I was telling you. Kathleen Kennedy erased those. She was like, no, they don't count. Because in a couple of those shorts, they talk about them fighting Grievous. They talk about Mace Windu. It was a lot about Mace Windu. And Mace Windu even had a dope episode where he took on like a whole I don't know, he took on a whole bunch of bots. He took on like a whole regiment of bots and gave him work. Grievous is depicted in there, and Ventress. They show Ventress for the first time.
Yeah.
In that, where Anakin, he receives like a signal, and a Count Dooku assessment, then he goes and fights Ventress. That explains why, because she failed to kill Anakin, that's why Dooku never gave her the title of Darth. He never gave her the Darth title, and she was always mad about that. So, thanks to Kathleen Kennedy, she erased that. We don't get to see that. We'll never.
And Dooku, he didn't take the Darth title either. He was Count Dooku, and he kind of he kind of left the Sith Order in a way. Like he was like, well, I'm gonna do my own thing. He wanted to be the count. I read a whole. They got a whole book. There's a dope book about Dooku and Ventress and
Yes,
his whole
I've seen it.
upbringing.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yep,
Phenomenal
I've
book.
seen it, but never read it.
Yeah,
Now
it's
it
good.
says here
I rock it
Star Wars
on
Episode 2. Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying
Star
you can
Wars
get it on
episode.
Audible.
Yeah, now it says Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones, and then you have Star Wars the Clone Movie, and then you have the Clone Wars 2008 to 2020 show,
Yep.
and then you have Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So it goes two, I guess, Clone Wars movie, and that's like I said, those are the fans putting them in chronological order.
This is
Um,
Disney in order or
and they're
Star Wars.
showing you right. They're showing you how to. Now here's another one where they say to watch in chronological order. You start with season 2, episode 16, Cat and Mouse. Season 1, episode 16, Hidden Enemy, and then you go to the Clone Wars movie. Then you go season 3, Clone Cadets. Season 3, episode 3, Supply Lines, and season 1, episode 1, Ambush. See that's them putting them in order episodically and all, like they
Yeah,
taking it to another level.
yeah,
And everybody does that, but really it goes episode 1, then it goes to the Tchaikovsky animated series, and then it goes 2, and then it goes the animated CG series,
right,
and then 3. That's
right.
how it should be. But they're gonna put it in a whole timeline. I mean, there's official.
Well, you can find the
Um,
timelines in the beginnings of a lot of the comic books and all the Dark Horse comics. They have a timeline that goes back to the history of the Jedi, and to the history of the Sith Empire, and all the way through everything that takes place up until A New Hope, and what goes on between A New Hope and Empire and Return of the Jedi, and then what goes on between that and Force Awakens. Or rather, no, yeah, it goes back to the prequel, then it goes all the way down. I mean, it's incredible, the timeline, and it fits in the books
and
and the comics and the shows, the
to,
movies, everything.
to
It
me,
fits it all in.
it's incredible that somebody sat down and put all that together. Because
Yeah.
because when you go through it, they even go to Bad Batch. There's even episodes of Bad Batch that's in there that they throw in there chronologically.
Right. Yeah, the
Between
Bad
all of
Batch
that.
is in there too.
Yeah, so that's a little too much for me, man. But if you want the simple version, episode 1, the Tchaikovsky, you watch that, then you watch episode 2, then you watch the CGs, and you watch episode 3, and I keep it
So
moving. I mean,
yeah, George Lucas,
I
his original plans for Boba Fett, uh, which we talked about, he had original plans for Force Awakens, like the movies, the sequel trilogy. Like Lucas had all that shit mapped out, but Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm, and all of their bullshit,
they cut it
they
all
just
out,
whacked it
bro.
all up. Yeah,
They cut it
but
all out. Yeah.
the Boba Fett has been one of the greatest antagonist characters in Star Wars, hands down. History since 1978 when he first debuted. But George Lucas had originally had much more villainous plans for the bounty hunter, the clone
What you
son of a notorious bounty hunter and mercenary Jango Fett, who had a whole backstory and history as a Mandalorian in the books. And Star Wars first introduced Boba Fett in the infamous Star Wars Holiday Special in 1978. That's where you first saw Boba Fett for the
saw?
first
Yes, yes.
it was a cartoon animated version of the character riding a big like dinosaur thing, the
Yeah.
itchy you don't, something like that. And
And you know the crazy part, Reno,
he had the rifle.
he had the same weaponry
He had the same
that
rifle as Din
that
Djarin.
that as Din Djarin, yeah.
Mhm.
Because I watched that. It was on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It actually is still on there. I just
Yeah,
watched
it's
it one
on there.
day.
Yeah.
And I was like, he got all Din Djarin's weapons.
Yeah,
Like
he
he had
got
every
yeah,
weapon Din Djarin had.
yeah.
Had the
That's
gun
where
with
they
the
got the
fork.
rifle with the tuning
Yeah.
fork on the end.
Tony
Yeah.
Fork, right, yeah. I was
And
like,
Boba Fett
I was
never
like,
had that in the Star Wars movies. He had that
no,
only in that
never.
cartoon.
In a
So
cartoon, that
it's
was the only
dope.
place he had it.
That's the type of shit that only a Star Wars fan, of the mythology and of the material could have come up with. Like when they made the Mandalorian show, which apparently Jon Favreau originally wanted it to be a Boba Fett show, but they didn't feel comfortable, risking that big character, which they didn't know what the shows were going to be like, and of course they blew up and were wildly successful. But they were like, you have to make a different guy for the Mandalorian. So he made a different guy, but he had that weapon from that animated holiday special, which was a travesty. The live action holiday special was just painful to watch. I mean, embarrassing. I feel so bad for
Well,
Harrison Ford, bro.
well, you know, Marvel
He
just
hates it.
announced that they're going to retell the story of season 1 of The Mandalorian, and I think it's six issues, and they're gonna go
Yeah.
through
They're gonna
and the
they're
gaps
gonna
because
put
they
it they're gonna put it in comic book form,
right, but
right?
they're
But
also
it's not
filling in the
gonna
blanks
change
from
it.
what I read. No,
Well,
they're
yeah,
not. They said
yeah.
they're not changing. They're just retelling it to be more. According to Marvel, it's going to be more Star Wars. It's going to be because they said
Oh.
They'll
when the
add
show
some
first
details.
came out, it didn't have that Star Wars feel until later
Right,
on, and
right.
they want to rewrite it and put it in comic book form and bring it out.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 6 issues. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know when it's coming out, but I know it's coming.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
it's
That's
coming.
gonna be dope.
So is it
And
gonna make the events of season 1 of The Mandalorian like not canon, or
no,
are
no,
they
no.
just
No,
like
they'll be canon. Yeah,
oh
they'll
They're
be
okay.
just
canon.
they're just
They'll just
putting
fill in
it
some
in.
plot holes.
They're just
Yeah, they're
they're
filling in
just
some
putting
plot
it in
holes.
comic book form, and then there'll
Gotcha.
be like little stuff in between that they'll fill in and
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah, like
But it's
little
the
plot
same
holes.
thing.
Like yeah, like when you watch Empire Strikes Back, Luke he gets his hand chopped off, and the lightsaber falls down this long tunnel. But then we get episode, what is it, The Last Jedi, and no, Force Awakens, and somebody has the lightsaber. So everybody was asking like, "Yo, where'd this light? Like, wait a minute. The last time we saw that lightsaber was connected to Luke's hand and it fell down the shaft.
Yeah, and
And
how did Moss
how did they get
how
it?
did they get it? Mm-hmm.
So Marvel did what they're doing now. They started a comic that was based on that era, and they showed Luke going back to Cloud City and
Yeah.
retrieving the
Mm-hmm.
lightsaber. That issue of that comic is actually that's a very sought after comic. It sold out
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah,
almost immediately.
all of them Star Wars comics, they're like I slept on them for a long time. I slept on them for a long time because I thought they were whack. I was like, man, I don't want to like why would I want to see comic books, of like corny versions of like, Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and all of that, because I thought it was just corny, but they they go so deep in the lore and they tell so much of cool shit
And
that
right, and they actually fill in the blanks. They actually
they
literally
fill in
fill in
the
the
blanks.
yeah.
Yes.
Because they
So I
talk
like
about
that
how
they
they
fill in the
talk about how Lando Calrissian, because we don't get a lot of Lando Calrissian between Empire and
Check it
Return.
out.
Oh,
Um,
nice. That's dope.
yeah, they talk about how Lando,
All your Lando right
uh,
there.
yeah, they talk about how he goes back and liberates Cloud City. Um,
Yep.
the one droid dude, the guy with the thing on the back of his head, I don't know what it did, the computer chip
Yeah,
or the
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
hard
that
drive,
that, he,
whatever
that
he had.
walks around Cloud City with,
Lando
with
actually, right,
his
he
little
was
homie. Yeah.
actually, yeah, he was like his little home. So Lando had to go back
Mm-hmm.
and free all of them. He went back, freed it. They found Luke's lightsaber, and they talk about that. They talk about
Yeah.
him talking to Leia about training her to bring her force powers, into the light, or because she was force sensitive and she never knew it.
Yeah.
And he was talking about all, but you got to read them. You got to read the Star Wars comics. They're really good. Trying to find them, it might be kind of expensive right now. But they've only been
You
out maybe 2-3 years. You
yeah,
probably
you
can get
can
some
get
of them,
them.
but some issues are gonna cost you some money. But most of them you can probably get pretty cheap. You can probably get for a good price.
Yeah, you can definitely go on eBay and find pretty much all of them. And yeah, depending on what issues and who's in which, that like whatever issues have first appearances of major characters are going to cost more, and sometimes that sucks because you're trying to fill up a run and you might get issue 1 through 8, and then 9 has a first appearance, so it's $100 comic, and then you get 10, 11, 12 like that, and they're all $3 except 9. So it can be hard to put them all together, but definitely if you're a Star Wars fan, you can't not do that, man. And what I was just talking about with uh George Lucas's original plans for the Boba Fett show, for Boba Fett period. And while Star Wars The Holiday Special has largely been disowned by Star Wars and fans alike, the
I
Boba
saw
Fett
that.
sequence was notably well received, which aligns George Lucas with the original intentions for him to have a significant role in Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. He was originally supposed to have a much bigger role before becoming the anti-hero figure in Disney Plus's Star Wars shows The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. The character's original trilogy role consisted of working for Darth Vader in Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, and being killed off within the first 10 minutes of Return of the Jedi upon falling into the Sarlacc pit. While The Mandalorian revealed that Boba miraculously survived this fall, the character's longtime Star Wars legacy after 1983 was that he was underutilized as a fan favorite villain. After being set up as a villain as threatening as Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back, Boba Fett was thought to be humorously killed before the action even started when his rocket pack sent him into the mouth of the Sarlacc. But this wasn't always George Lucas's plan. Just as he was set up in The Empire Strikes Back, George Lucas's original intentions were to make Boba Fett the big bad of the original trilogy while saving Darth Vader's major storyline and fall for a scrapped sequel trilogy. According to Lucasfilm's first fan relations officer, Greg Miller, George Lucas wanted Boba Fett to be the main villain in Return of the Jedi alongside the Rebels storyline of rescuing Han Solo from Jabba the Hutt. The entire conclusive battle, Emperor reveal, Anakin Skywalker sacrificing himself to save Luke were intended for a later trilogy that Lucas eventually decided against doing at all. Miller revealed that at one point Lucas was on the set doing 9 or 12 Star Wars movies in his head, but later backtracked and decided Return of the Jedi would be his last at the time, of course. But without a future set of movies to wrap up the Darth Vader and Luke storyline, Boba Fett's main role as a villain was cut tremendously, pretty much entirely. And since Boba Fett's role in Empire Strikes Back was structured around his capture of Han Solo, it appears Luke and Leia's rescue mission from Return of the Jedi's opening sequence would have accounted for much more of the movie's plot. And this, of course, resulted in a major Boba Fett changes in Return of the Jedi, not only removing the iconic character's ability to fulfill George Lucas's planned big bad arc, but forcing him to suffer a gag-like death that has been mocked for decades. It's unclear whether his arc would have been extended past Jedi if Lucas stuck to his original plan, but it was building a trilogy involving the Darth Vader and Emperor narrative. No one can imagine Boba Fett would have been taken out in a much more climactic and respectable fashion by Star Wars protagonists. But considering Boba Fett was one of Star Wars' earliest underutilized villains, it is a shame that he would have had much more screen time had Lucas not been so adamant about making Return of the Jedi the last of his movies. I'm like, if he had planned at the time to, make the prequels and the sequel trilogy and all of that and shows and all that, it would have been a very different trilogy. But he was adamant about just making those 3 movies, and that was going to be all he did for Star Wars because he didn't want to get pigeonholed into a Star Wars. He wanted to change up and do other shit, and he wanted to do more serious movies, and obviously that didn't work out. But he worked with Spielberg, did the Indiana Jones stuff, and just got nostalgic and wanted to continue the Star Wars story and mainly tell Anakin's story. So we finally got the prequels. But that said, Lucas clearly had regrets about writing out such an amazing character once he decided to move forward with the divisive Star Wars prequel trilogy. Instead of becoming a major character in Luke's movies, Boba returned as a child in Anakin's origin story, whereas bounty hunter father Jango Fett posed a substantial threat to the galaxy. Rather than revive Boba Fett as the villain he could have been in Return of the Jedi, Star Wars has been rebranding the iconic character in the Disney Plus TV shows, making him an anti-hero crime lord who hardly even dons his Mandalore armor and is hardly even a crime lord. But it's a lot. It would have been great, man, to see Boba Fett as a bigger, big bad villain type character.
Oh, we would have loved it, man.
Cool character.
Who knows how far Star Wars went when they did it? But we got the Mandalorian.
You got the Mandalorian. Luckily, that was cool. We love that. And following the success of the Mandalorian, Jon Favreau has been a constant presence in the world of Star Wars alongside Dave Filoni as the creatives that most fans consider responsible for most of what comes to the small screen.
Star Wars is on a roll. It's on a roll on the small screen right now.
They are.
It really is. It really is. Their best stuff that they right, exactly. The stuff they came out, their best stuff they came out in the last, I'll say 3 years. 4 years. It's been on Disney Plus. It's been on the small screen.
Absolutely. And Favreau was originally only signed on for that first season of Mandalorian, but after it exploded, in popularity, he was able to leverage and get that insane deal with Lucasfilm and stay on board. No details were offered as the contract only came up in a larger context of analyzing Disney's streaming model. But the piece notes that Disney tends to be fairly tight-fisted when it comes to compensating their creatives. So it's,
I don't see how. I don't see how with all the money they.
Yeah.
You ever bought a turkey leg at Disney World?
No. Forget about it.
And they,
come on.
But they've had a long reputation of paying less than other studios and relying on the fact that they're Disney, and so everyone wants to work with them. Or
look at how they did ScarJo with the whole Black Widow thing, and when she, I think, went to sue them because they didn't pay her for Black Widow. So
they didn't? Are you serious?
Yeah. So the whole thing was so the way they did it, the movie was originally supposed to come out in theaters, but then the pandemic happened, so they moved it to Disney Plus, and it was gonna only be exclusively like on Disney Plus, and then also in theaters. But they didn't give Scarlett Johansson like the cut from Disney Plus. It was specifically for the movie theaters, and she had it was like a whole thing, and she went after them, and I think she won. I believe she won. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, no, that's why I think that's why they because I thought it was that she was upset that they did the streaming and it hurt the box office sales.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I got it mixed up, but that's what it was. Yeah,
and so she like sued them like, you fucked up my paycheck kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
because she was only supposed to do it for like the movie theater, but then you have streaming, and she was
that right. Yeah, so she wasn't getting no money for the streaming shit.
Yeah,
but she was under the impression, or I guess under the contract, that it was going to hit theaters first and have time to make some box office money, and then they would do streaming later. But they decided to just go straight to streaming, which was great for us. But
right, it's good for us because Eric Sermon talked. I watched I listened to an interview he did on Shady 45, and he was talking about streaming, and he said, people think it's a good thing, but it's not. And he was like, it's convenient for the consumer, and it's convenient for the people who put it out. But he said, but for the artists, they don't get much from it, if not anything.
Yeah.
So he was saying how he puts all his music, like he made a Bandcamp site and all that. And he was like, you can go in there and stream it. He said, I get paid for it to get streamed.
Yeah.
Like I get my money's worth. Like I get everything's coming to me. But he said, but to put it on a stream, you're gonna have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And he put it behind a paywall. Like Prince, before Prince died, all his music was behind a paywall, pretty much.
Right.
And Prince's philosophy was like, look, that's my music, that's my art. You want it, pay for it. Like, it's yours after that. You can do whatever you want with it. But don't like, and they talk about that. So with the movies, it's the same thing with the music. De La Soul, how they got done real dirty,
Mm-hmm.
with the streaming deal, and they were saying
Yep.
don't stream the music because we're not getting paid for that.
Yeah. It's almost like, before streaming, when people were just pirating, people were just taking the music, people were just sharing it, and everybody was just downloading music for free and shit. And so the streaming stuff helps some people get paid for it, like the streaming services get paid, and the labels might get some money, but the artists aren't getting shit out of it, really. So that's why you're getting subpar music from subpar artists, and even like
Right.
our favorite artists are putting out, so music, because it's not like it was where they're making real big money for their music. So now it's
A
like,
lot of
fuck,
that is a lot of that
why
is
should I
their
put in all
fault,
that effort?
and and a lot of it's their fault. Like Eric Sermon said, look, he was like, look, Bandcamp, Bandcamp's independent. It's for independent. He said, look, put your music on there. Charge people what you want to charge them. Stream what you want to stream. What you don't want to stream, you don't stream. Put it behind a paywall if you want. But he said, but you'll get 100% of your profit. Like it's your music. It's like owning your own masters. And he's big on that. He's really, really big on that. Like he was like, look, I don't understand how people don't do it. And he was
Mhm.
just going down a list of after artists and artists. But he said, as far as EPMD is concerned, Eric Sermon, Paris Smith, he said, I got all our stuff on there. You want it, go in there and get it. You want to buy it, you can buy it, download it, it's yours, whatever, and you can stream it unlimited, once you buy
Right.
it. And he was like, go in there and get it. And
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah. Yo, I was thinking, man, I gotta admit, I'm a little nervous and excited about Black Panther Wakanda Forever, man. But I'm excited to get back into the world of Wakanda with all the characters. And I'm also curious how the sequel will tie into the future of the MCU. But what I'm concerned about is how they'll continue without Chadwick Boseman. Will they recast him? Will they pass the Black Panther mantle off to another character? And more importantly, are we ready for a new Black Panther?
They're gonna have to, bro. They're gonna have to recast him.
Yeah.
If you, because
problem-
if you can't hand the mantle down to somebody else because it just doesn't happen. It didn't happen in the comics. I mean, you can get away with a lot. All right, look at the multiverse. You can get away with a lot. You
In
can
the
say,
comics, they did pass the mantle though.
Yeah, to Shuri,
Mhm.
but I feel like Shuri
but she
in
was
the
only
MCU,
Shuri was only
yeah.
it for a little bit, and then
Yeah.
he came back, and then he took the mantle back. So they could do something with it. They could say, look, we know he disappeared during the blip. And they could just say when he came back, that's what he looked like. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just
Came back.
Like
yeah,
during
like,
the-
look,
Well, see, look,
this is what we got.
they got it's easy, bro. They got the whole. That's why they're doing the whole multiverse thing. It lets them bring mutants. It lets them change Black Panther's face. It lets them do whatever they want to do. They can just, oh, he's from this universe, or they switched when after the blip. Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa went to that universe, and that universe's T'Challa came here, and we traded. Like, they can say whatever they want, solve any issue, any plot hole. It's a genius move.
Anything could have happened, right? Yeah, they could.
It's
Right,
just-
anything could have happened. This is what we got. Right, this
Right.
is T'Challa. He just different. He looked different, but it's the same one.
I feel
so
like-
that's just they could do something.
What are you gonna say, Sada?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like during Endgame, I wish they would have shown us what was happening in Wakanda, because their ruler was gone, and I think this could have been a way for them to get a new leader, like maybe Okoye. Like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like he probably wouldn't have been too bad. But you could have had her, and then maybe. I mean, I guess you can't predict death or anything like that, but in the case that something like this, now we're in this predicament, now you have someone who was in the role of being the ruler, and
Right.
I mean, it's good that we have the multiverse and stuff like that, but they're definitely gonna have to recast.
they do, and but that's the problem, is because Chadwick Boseman was perfect as T'Challa, the king of Wakanda, and when the news of his passing hit the world, we were really sad, and it was really fresh, and I think people were like, no, you can't recast him and all that. But now when came, to the future of T'Challa, we kind of have a dilemma because Chadwick is beloved, but we don't want to see anyone else playing his role. But at the same time, the character T'Challa is needed in the MCU, and he was supposed to be one of the following prominent players in the new Avengers movies, along with Doctor Strange and Captain Marvel. And we don't know what's happening with the Black Panther sequel, but many theorize T'Challa won't be recast, and instead, like we said, the Black Panther mantle will be passed down to another character. The most apparent character is Shuri, the genius little sister of T'Challa, played by Letitia Wright. And because Shuri's character becomes Black Panther in the comics, so it would make sense. But
there's so much drama with her in that movie.
There's been a problem with shooting Black Panther. Despite playing a brilliant scientist, Wright is allegedly against getting vaccinated during the COVID the pandemic, and there's rumors that she held up the sequel production and got injured, stopping the film. So if Shuri is the new Black Panther and Wright sticks to her ways of not getting vaccinated, she could hold up a future films on how long we have to deal with, depending on how long we have to deal with COVID.
I don't get what the big deal is. Get vaccinated, get on with your life, man.
But it's like
some people don't believe in it. Well, I don't want to get into the vaccine thing right now, but what are you gonna say?
No, I mean, I get it.
Oh, I'm sorry. You go first.
Oh yeah, no, I get it. I'm not saying that they're wrong for doing it. A lot of people feel, oh, you're infringing on my freedoms, or you're taking away my rights. But nobody's taking away anything from me.
Or they feel they're scared about it. They don't know if it's healthy. They don't know what, but
most of the food you eat ain't healthy, but you still eat it.
Yeah.
I think it was being rumored that they like made accommodations for her, even though, because she has said, she doesn't want to get vaccinated, and they made accommodations, and she's still like having an issue. So that's where I'm like, okay, what's going on? Because like they're making accommodations.
You're right. It seems to be more than just the vaccine. It's just like her diva, bullshit that she's doing, and so. But I mean, Marvel could do several things to fix it, but Marvel.
If I was Marvel, I would just recast.
They could recast T'Challa.
I would recast her. Recast
we all love Chadwick Boseman.
Keep it moving.
But we need T'Challa to interact with Doctor Strange and Captain Marvel, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, right? Yeah. Illuminati, like he's part of the Illuminati.
Prominent. Yeah, so it's weird that we're at this point.
I know, and they haven't even figured it out yet, because we got Patrick Stewart, right? Professor X is up there, Illuminati. Yeah. We got to have Tony Stark. Maybe that's going to be Tom Cruise or whoever.
Maybe a variant,
right. But then there's got to be a Namor. We need a Black Panther. We need, you know what I mean? But everybody, hasn't shown up yet. So I hope that they're going to reveal it all in Doctor Strange. But you never know with Marvel. Like, they could be doing a whole lot of shit that we don't know about. Yeah. But if they don't want to go that route, they can recast Shuri and give another woman a chance to shine in the role.
Recast Shuri. recast T'Challa. Shuri,
it's not like they haven't done it before.
Anybody else want to get recast, just step forward. I'll recast you too.
Right. Remember Terrence Howard as War Machine, and Ed Norton was the Hulk, and they recast them both, and nobody cared.
Nobody
they were slick with that.
Edward Norton was Edward Norton played a great David Banner.
Yeah,
my favorite.
I was sad to see him go.
Yeah, I mean, listen, your boy, what's his name? Ruffalo. Yeah, he's dope. Now he's a dope actor, but
Ruffalo said
I was part of Ed Norton just because I'm an Ed Norton fan. I think he's a dope actor.
Now Ed Norton only got it because Ruffalo said that he made the biggest mistake he ever made in his career. He listened to his manager, and his manager told him not to do it because of that first Hulk movie. They actually offered him the role first, and he said, "I'm listening to my manager." Manager's like, "Oh, the first Hulk movie wasn't that great." He said, "Yeah, it's gonna hurt your career," which it was slow. It was, but they promised him that the new one was gonna be better. He said, "I should have just took it." He said, "I didn't." He said, "I wanted to do it, but I didn't. Listening to my manager, that's why I didn't do it."
Yeah.
Right. He said I should have just did it like I thought. But Ray Fisher is another one. Talk himself out of the cyborg role. I mean, come on, dog. Like it just, and a movie. Cyborg's supposed to get a solo movie, but
well, a lot of these guys, a lot of these actors and shit, like when the MCU was young, like with Terrence Howard, I think he didn't want to. A lot of these actors didn't want to be superhero actors. They didn't want to be in superhero movies or comic book movies because historically they've not been good. They've not been respectable in the cinema. But nowadays, man, these movies are cinema. They are the biggest genre. Like that is the blockbuster. It's what everybody wants to be in. And if you could land a role in a Marvel movie, you're set. Like that's the way they look at it.
Yeah.
But I hope they could also pass the mantle to M'Baku, Winston Duke.
Yeah, that's another
I
one
think,
too.
yeah, I think that would be dope. And they were,
He said no.
I'm telling you, they're already talking about it. Like there's a whole thing about it.
Oh, sir, it'll ruin the. It's gonna ruin the franchise.
I feel like anyone but Killmonger. Just don't bring Killmonger back and put him.
Now everybody, right? Everybody agrees with you on that side. Nobody wants to see Killmonger. Right?
Please. Everyone else is fine, just not him.
and it's not a sexist thing, but I don't want a female Black Panther yet because I think the Illuminati, T'Challa being in the Illuminati is so iconic and nostalgic. We need to run that first.
Yeah.
But there is, there's Okoye, Denai Guerrilla, there's Wakabi, Daniel Kaluuya, there's Nakaya, Lupita Nyong'o. And these are all worthy characters and actors who deserve the attention and can carry the franchise into the future and won't be given, won't be diva, causing problems and shit. And Black Panther is set to release towards the end of this year. So it's probably already, whatever they've already done is done, but we'll see. We don't know what it is
interesting.
Yet.
This will be really, really interesting.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited though.
Listen, man, they just, what, they mess it up because it's just not. I don't know. It's play the role or you don't. Like why hold the movie hostage? Because that's basically what she's doing. She's holding the movie hostage. She's holding up production. And they know people want to see the people that were the original one. People are like, oh, we want to see, but we can accept the fact that Chad Boseman died and they had to recast. We get that. And Harry Potter, when the original guy that played Dumbledore died, I mean, they got a new Dumbledore.
Yeah.
It didn't nobody, and it didn't miss a beat.
Did they?
Nobody said it.
It's a new Dumbledore. It's not the original Dumbledore. I don't know. I don't.
No,
really,
it's not the original Dumbledore. The original Dumbledore that played in Harry Potter, the original Harry Potter movie, is not the same guy that was in the last movie. They had to recast. The guy died, and they made 7 of those films.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Yeah. Well, speaking of MCU stuff, Moon Knight, there's some comic book, like the Moon Knight comic books have just gone through the roof. I mean, first appearance, and it's to be expected. But whether you're a seasoned Moon Knight collector or a new fan, you've probably been chasing down all his major well-known keys in the past few years. And we know what those are. Werewolf by Night 32, his first appearance, Marvel Spotlight 28, and of course Moon Knight #1. But there's a big wide world of Moon Knight comics out there, and there's a lot of other issues that I think a lot of people miss, like Vengeance of the Moon Knight #1, which David Finch, probably one of the greatest Moon Knight artists of all time, and if there was ever a comic that made the case for Finch to have the top spot, definitely Vengeance of Moon Knight #1 might be it. Then you've got Moon Knight #1, the Sienkiewicz variant. You've got, which is it was a 175 incentive. Moon Knight #6, the bloody variant. Just a few of those, man, that I think a lot of people are missing that I was just looking at last night, and I was like, man, I gotta tell people, man, because these people are missing them, and they're dope. But Marvel is also introducing a new gender swapped Moon Knight. Moon Knight will be joining the Avengers of the Multiverse. Yeah, but it's not Mark Spector. It's a preview for Avengers 3 introduces a female version of the Fist of Khonshu named Mariama Specter. It's unclear if she's related to the Moon Knight of Earth 616 or how large of a role she'll play in the new series, but I don't know if she's actually going to be just a multiversal version, or if it's going to be the main character. But coming out of the events of Avengers number 50, Avengers Forever finds Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider, transported to a dystopian Earth where he must defeat the multiversal masters of evil with the help of the Avengers of the Multiverse, Moon Knight, Vision, the Infinity Thing, Wonder Man, Deathlock, and Tony Stark, who in this universe is an archaeologist donning the Ant-Man suit. So yeah, it's, and those looking for less multiversal madness have plenty of opportunities to keep up with the adventures of the classic Moon Knight come March and April. Jed McKay and Alessandro Capucho's ongoing Moon Knight series continues with issue number 9 on March 2nd. Meanwhile, the Devil's Reign crossover event continues on March 9th with the one-shot Devil's Reign Moon Knight number 1, which I can't wait to get. Devil's Reign has been dope. Been reading, and it's really cool, all the tie-ins they do. But I can't wait. Moon Knight number 1, Devil's Reign, finds Mark Specter imprisoned in the high-tech Myrmidon. And finally, the anthology series Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood will begin its 4-issue run with a story by former X-Men writer Jonathan Hickman on April 13th, which is like on my calendar. I cannot recommend Jonathan Hickman's writing enough, and the Black, White, and Blood series has been dope. Carnage, Black, White, and Blood, Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood.
Oh yeah, Black, White, and Blood they're dope.
Yes.
Yeah,
they're dope.
Yeah.
Typically what they are.
Black and gold. They're dope. Or the black and white.
Yeah.
Black and white, black and gold, black and red. They're all dope.
There's a Batman black and white. There's a Superman blue and red. There's a Wonder Woman
black and gold. Yeah.
White, black, and gold. Yeah. Yeah. So those, because they're dope. What they are is they the pages are all black and white with accents in red. So like everything in the comic that would be red, like blood or a redhead's hair or anything that would be red, is colored red.
Like
everything else is black
red.
and white.
Black and white.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Superman one, it's blue, red, white, and blue. I think
red and blue. I think it's something like that. Red and blue.
So it's like Sin City, like that movie.
Yeah, it's like Sin City. Yeah.
Okay, exactly. That's dope.
Yeah. You know what? And we had Richard Harris.
I sold it to Sada. Sada, you got it coming. That's one of the ones I'm sending you. The Superman, nice. Yeah, Superman Red, White, and Blue is one of the ones I'm sending you.
Yeah, Richard Harris, Reno. That's who played the original Dumbledore.
Okay.
He died in Hodgkin's disease. He only played in the first 2 movies. And then we had a whole nother Dumbledore the rest of the movies. Nobody complained. Nobody even noticed. I mean, come on. He only played in the... Then you had Helen McCrory. She played as Malfoy's mother. She was in the first movie. She died. And then when you look at Malfoy's mother after that, it's not the same lady. I mean, yeah, so you can recast. I recast the whole. If I gotta recast them all, I'll just recast them all.
So wipe it all out.
Yeah, wipe it all out. Get out, leave. You don't want to do it. I mean, you got a lot of people that died making those 7 movies of Harry Potter. Yeah, I remember those movies started like 2000, and they went all the way up until what 2015 or 2016, something like that.
The residuals,
so, right? Yeah, Robert Knox. Remember Robert Knox? He got stabbed. They stabbed him outside of a bar. He had got into like it was in the paper and everything. His brother got into an altercation with some guy.
Who is that?
He goes outside. Robert Knox was he was in the Half-Blood Prince. He was the guy that played had a small part in the movie. He was the younger brother. Remember I remember Harry's real family on his, I think it's his mother's side. You had the uncle and the mom, because the uncle died. The original guy that played the uncle, he passed away. I think he passed away after the movies, or he might have passed away. Yeah, he passed away after they were made, but they didn't show him anymore either. Because by the time we got to I think the 5th or 6th movie, I think it's the 5th movie, Harry just stayed in the wizard world. He didn't come back to the Muggle world.
Right.
But he was Harry's. Was he? I think it was like Harry's cousin. I think it was.
See, I've seen like
something like that.
I think I seen like the first one, and then I think I seen one that was like it was like really
He
dark.
was Marcus. He was Marcus Belby. That's who he was.
Yeah, I'm
He
looking
played
at some things
he
now. It
played
says
a he played a
Batman.
half blood prince. But a lot of people died that played in Harry Potter, man. You just
Yeah.
recast him. Keep it moving. We
Yeah,
didn't even
yeah,
notice. We didn't even notice. We didn't lose a step. We didn't lose a step on those movies, man. Come on.
yeah.
You had a lot of actors. You had a lot of actors that were older when those movies were made.
You know what the thing with Chadwick Boseman is? He's young. No one knew that he was sick. It was a shock, and
it was just so sudden.
He was new to the industry. Like he was just blowing up. He was super young. It came out of nowhere. So like all that shit factors in is why people like were apprehensive to just replacing him. They were like, oh, he's Black Panther. Like that's his thing. Like you can't take it from him. And and I get all that, but at the same time, the show must go on, and showbiz people know that, and that's their motto. So like he would want it recast. He would want it to be recast. I believe that 100%. So he would want the character to stay. But a Moon Knight star says Oscar Isaac gives Robert Downey Jr. a run for his money. Ethan Hawke recently praised Moon Knight's co-star Oscar Isaac, going as far to compare him with fellow MCU actor and oft-praised actor Robert Downey Jr. Speaking to Empire, Hawke complimented the Moon Knight leading man, saying it's an electrifying performance. Robert Downey Jr. has got a run for his money.
I can believe it.
He's
pretty good when given the right material. We don't talk about X-Men Apocalypse, but
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. I like Oscar Isaac. I don't like what they did with Apocalypse. He definitely deserves a shot, a second chance, because that was just it wasn't good for him. It wasn't good for us. It was just not good. But he's a great actor. He did some really cool shit. He's in one of my favorite movies, Sucker Punch. If you haven't seen Sucker Punch, I cannot recommend it enough.
Yeah, Sucker Punch was good. Sucker
Punch was good. I feel like I gotta check it out though.
Nah, Sucker Punch was good. Soundtrack was dope. Yeah, the soundtrack was dope. It was just a good movie.
It was really like, it's artistic,
but it's good.
It's trippy. Yeah, it's an art film. I mean, it's not meant to be watched like. There's a lot of it. It could be even taken as you're just seeing her imagination. It's about this girl, and her sister was like raped and killed, and then like she got sent to like this home for wayward girls, and but then they go into these sequences where it's all like CGI, like she's a samurai fighting these giant like samurai monsters and shit, or they'll go to another one where she's like in some medieval like flying a dragon or some shit. Like it's crazy, bro. It's dope. And but the way they
wanted to, because they wanted to escape from this mental institution. Not mental institution. It was like a girl, she was in a mental institution
for young girls.
Right. She was in a mental institution, but in her
she was locked up. She was charged with killing their stepfather because he's or
tried to
rape
her. Like, he tried to rape her. Yeah,
tried to rape her. She attacked her. He tried to make it like she's just crazy. She just went out on me. She just went nuts.
Right. Yeah. So in order to escape, they said that they needed these key items. So in her mind, it was like, these key items, like they needed fire. And so they thought they had to find this dragon. Right. They needed a knife. Right. So they found this dragon, and they slayed the dragon, and they got the two orifices in the dragon's body that make fire. It's just dope. But whenever they go to get the items, she dances and she goes into a trance, and instead of being there, she's whisked away into a world where she's in charge.
Right. And because she has to dance to distract them so the girls can go get the items so they can escape.
Right.
And while she's dancing for them, because it's like she's like a burlesque type of sexy dance, and so she just goes in her mind while she's doing the sexy dance. Yeah. Don't want to be there.
They never showed They never showed the dance.
They never show her dance.
Right. You just know it's the greatest thing anybody's ever seen, because when she's done this, everybody's in a trance. Like everybody's like, wow. Like, but in her mind, she's not even there when she's doing the dance.
Like she's
off on an adventure. Right. She's off on an adventure in her mind. and that's the great part about it. Like she's,
Yeah.
she
But
doesn't even know what she was doing when she
it's
comes.
visually stunning. So even we can tell you
Yes,
about it all day
you
long, but
gotta
until you
watch it.
see it,
Yeah,
yeah.
until
I
you
feel like
watch
I
it.
believe you because it's Snyder was behind it, right?
Yes.
I mean, he's all about the visuals, so I
If
believe
you if you listen, if you like anime, anything like that,
it.
those sequences,
It's a
they
Zack
are
Snyder
very
film.
they
Yeah.
are they are live action anime.
Oh,
Yeah.
That is live. The sequences where she dancing and she goes into her mind, that's all live action anime.
Yep.
Straight
Yep.
up, all of it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Live action anime. But yeah, Oscar Isaac, he's killing it in Moon Knight. Downey made his MCU debut as Tony Stark, which, along with the Incredible Hulk, spawned the shared universe. And he reprised the role in 2 more solo outings, followed by appearances throughout the Avengers films and other MCU properties, before bowing out in 2019's Avengers Endgame. Downey's performances as Stark earned him many plaudits from fans and critics alike, with Endgame co-director Joe Russo saying of Downey, "If that doesn't deserve an Oscar, I don't know what does." And this isn't the first time that aspects of Moon Knight have been compared to Iron Man. Isaac said that part of the reason why he signed up for the project was because of some of the similarities between the two properties. He said Moon Knight felt handmade, and it's the first legitimate Marvel character study since Iron Man, because
Mm.
it's about
Hmm.
it's about his character. It's about him, being mentally ill and having the split personality disorder and all of that.
Mm.
And likewise, they went into like Robert Downey Jr.'s, alcoholism or whatever it was that, they went deep into his character. And they didn't really do that with other characters, with other MCU movies. Like they didn't really do that with Thor or anything else, or Hulk or Guardians of the Galaxy or any of that. It was really mainly Iron Man. So we'll be seeing that for the first time since then. And Moon Knight sees Oscar Isaac play Stephen Grant, a character struggling with his dissociative identity disorder. And one of the identities that surfaces is Mark Specter. And you would know that from the comics. Mark Specter, Moon Knight. He was a mercenary who abandoned his colleagues and left for dead until he was rescued, abandoned by his colleagues. Not abandoned his colleagues. He was abandoned by his colleagues, left for dead until he was rescued by an Egyptian god of the moon, Khonshu. According to a translated synopsis, Khonshu negotiates with Mark Specter to become the bearer of his powers on Earth. And Moon Knight first appeared in the comic Werewolf by Night number 32, released in August 1975, created by writer Doug Mensch and artist Don Perlin. He finally appeared in his first headline and ongoing series in 1980. The Moon Knight / Mark Specter of the comics can be both brutal and violent, depending on which of his alternative personalities is in control. Marvel Studios president and Marvel Chief Creative Officer Kevin Feige confirmed that at least some of the violence of the comics will make it to TV. He's brutal, he said, and it's been fun to work with Disney Plus and see the boundaries shifting on what we're able to do, because obviously it's Disney and Disney's not known for their violence. So, so it's got to be. I hope that they're pushing the limits.
Fingers crossed, especially for something like Midnight.
Because Punisher, because Punisher was a little, it was not as violent as it should have could have been, and that was just that was Netflix. So hopefully we'll get an improvement on that. But Comic Chameleon, that's good. I get it. Comic Chameleon, right? Was it?
Comic Chameleon.
Yeah, that's The Cure or some shit like that. But anyway, or Boy George. Yeah. He said, I can Portuguese the little girl that played in the movie. It got locked off in the helicopter accident, and then then the sister played, then she died.
I think you're talking about the Poltergeist.
Now, Poltergeist little girl Annette died of a helicopter accident. Cut her head off. Sister play the part, and then she died. Oof. That little girl from Poltergeist died from like a disease. She was sick or something, right? Yeah, she got sick.
No, I think I think that was Was it like the set was cursed or something like that? Like
Yeah,
there was a
that
lot of
set
weird.
was cursed.
Rumor,
Yeah,
So
though.
many
like it
actors
was. It
were
was a lot of
injured.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of stuff that happened
Hell no, you can pay me to
on
be a
that.
person
Yeah, it was a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
she died at the end of the. I don't know, man. It was a lot of stuff that happened.
that movie set. No thanks.
That last movie.
Yeah,
It was a lot of stuff.
Dominique Dunn, she made her first film debut in Poltergeist as the elder sister of Carol Ann. Oh, that's not Dominique Dunn. That's not. We want to see. Okay, star Heather O'Rourke dies at age 12. Poltergeist. And then then Dominique Dunn was strangled.
Oh,
Hold on. Heather O'Rourke, the terrified youngster sucked into a portal Specter by vacuum suture announced the Poltergeist had died on an operating table at San Diego Hospital. It was reported Tuesday. This is back in 1988. The 12-year-old ingenue who finished filming Poltergeist 3 last June, in which she starred the angelic Carol Ann Freeling for the third time, died late Monday afternoon. Cause of death as intestinal stenosis, a severe bowel obstruction that the girl evidently had from birth. The obstruction caused an infection that in turn brought on septic shock. Yeah, that's right. The shock prompted full cardiac and pulmonary arrest, the spokeswoman said. Yeah.
Yeah, it says 4 of the film stars died mysteriously from like.
I said, yeah. I didn't want to be the one to say it, but
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that was a crazy rumor about the curse, man. I remember all that shit, the urban legend shit. Rumored curse attached to the Poltergeist trilogy and its crew derived from the deaths of 2 young cast members in 6 years between the release of the first and third films. The rumor and the surrounding deaths were explored in a 2002 episode of E! True Hollywood Story. But you know what? If it wasn't Poltergeist, if it was some other mundane movie that had nothing to do with horror or ghosts or anything, it wouldn't have been a curse.
Nah, it was a curse. I'm sorry, it was a curse. Curse, bro. I'm sorry, man. Come on, let's just call it what it was. I mean, look, when you look up the not Poltergeist, the Exorcist movie, how they said that
that
was
that one was crazy.
Yeah, they said that movie was cursed. Like, there was a lot of stuff that went on, while they were filming it. That's just
my
wasn't
point.
right.
That's my point. Exorcist, Poltergeist, but you don't hear that about whatever the fuck movie. But it's because those movies had that horror eerie, theme. That's why you call it a curse or you attach.
No. It's other movies that happen. It's other movies that happen too. No, it's other movies that happen. James Dean. When
That's James Dean though. That's not.
They said the car was cursed.
That's a car.
The car was cursed. He drove it. Come on, man. He drove a 550 Porsche.
Still be making up shit, man. Don't pay him no attention, y'all.
I'm not. Listen. You can look it up. James Dean. He died in the car. Listen, the car was cursed. Everybody said it, and James Dean drove it anyway. The car was cursed, bro. And that wasn't a horror movie. The car just had a curse on it.
Darth Vader's suit design origin always hinted at his redemption. We're gonna change the subject here.
Is that a theory?
No,
Darth Vader's iconic suit is. We supposed to be talking Star Wars today, y'all. Darth Vader's iconic suit is patterned after the famous the famous armor worn by samurai in feudal Japan, and you can definitely tell, his whole getup is like a samurai. And I never noticed that. As a little kid, you don't think Darth Vader's a samurai, but it's total, like, all the Star Wars stuff is based on samurai movies and westerns and all that shit. Darth Vader is not only one of the cinema's greatest villains, but also one of pop culture's best redemption character arcs in Return of the Jedi. The honorable samurai code Bushido allows samurai to regain honor through sacrifice, which loosely mirrors Vader's redemption at the end of Star Wars original trilogy. Darth Vader's famous armor is as much a survival suit as it is battle gear, with cybernetics and life support systems to keep Vader in top-notch condition, despite the grievous injuries he endured with his duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi on Mustafar. While canon doesn't delve into the design of the suit too deeply, the Legends continuity established that Vader's suit is based on both ancient Sith armor and imposing ancient Sith war droids. Behind the scenes, however, Vader's appearance was based on several historical and fictional armors, from Marvel Comics' Doctor Doom and to the fortified armor of feudal samurai. In feudal Japan, samurai followed the code of conduct Bushido to ensure ethics, loyalty, and discipline, as dishonored samurai could regain their honor through seppuku, a form of suicide, which creates another parallel between the ancient historical warriors and Darth Vader. And Vader fell from grace, becoming a Sith Lord and eschewing his identity of Anakin Skywalker, but he regained his honor to a degree, both by saving the life of his son and killing Emperor Palpatine, dying in the process. This arc, while not immediately apparent from Vader's characterization in A New Hope, was actually outlined from the outset by his suit's design. Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader out of desperation to save his wife, but when she died, his Faustian bargain left him with nothing but himself and his power, so he continued to faithfully serve the Emperor as a broken man. The undying love of Vader's son, Luke Skywalker, rekindled dominant remnants of Anakin within Vader, leading him to save his son and thus the galaxy, even at the cost of his own life. While not in a literal sacrifice of seppuku, Vader's death was the result of him eschewing any sense of personal gain in his pursuit of doing what he felt was right. And Darth Vader's armored survival suit and sacrifice aren't the only ways that feudal Japan has influenced Star Wars, however. The works of legendary director Akira Kurosawa, which were often set in feudal Japan, were a significant inspiration to Lucas when creating the Star Wars franchise. A New Hope has much in common with the Hidden Fortress, and Kurosawa's Seven Samurai was adapted 3 different times in various Star Wars non-movie material. And although Jedi Knights were more heavily inspired by samurai than Sith Lords, Darth Vader's suit design was intentionally patterned after samurai armor, and his redemptive sacrifice creates an additional parallel to the Bushido Code's seppuku. For viewers who noticed the visual similarities between Vader and historical samurai warriors, even his eventual redemption might have been suspected from the start of the trilogy by being visually based on samurai armor. Darth Vader's suit hinted at his fatal redemption in the Star Wars trilogy. And I thought this was really interesting because we've talked about on this show a couple times how the Emperor purposely put him in that restrictive sort of iron lung where he really needed it to survive, and also it restricted him from like fluid movement, so he wouldn't have been as good of a swordsman, saber, and he wasn't able to do force lightning and shit like that, some of the more powerful Sith powers, because of the electronics. And he was also very susceptible to force lightning, which would let the Emperor just zap him anytime he wanted to. And so he kept him in that because he knew Anakin would grow way more powerful than him and kill him and take over. And he wanted to sort of rule forever as long as he could. Shout out Corey Adger in the building. What's good, Corey?
Yo, Corey, what's up?
Much respect. But yeah, man, Vader, bro. And I can't wait to see Vader in Obi-Wan. But Obi-Wan's true Star Wars rival isn't Darth Vader or Darth Maul. Without a doubt, Obi-Wan Kenobi is one of Star Wars' most popular characters. Alec Guinness, the original portrayal, the iconic Obi-Wan to Ewan McGregor's prequel vision. Fans can't get enough of the witty, sarcastic Jedi Master, and that's probably why there's so much hype for the show.
Obi-Wan kicked a lot of butt. Man. He kicked a lot of ass.
He did.
He knocked off Vader. He knocked off Grievous.
Word.
He did a lot, man. He did a lot.
Yeah, and Vader only beat him in the original movie because Obi-Wan let him, because he wanted to become a Force ghost. He knew he could only help Luke that way.
Right, he helped. Right. Yeah, so it was actually Obi-Wan did a lot, man.
He's a big dude, and it's funny though. As much as people love Obi-Wan, the villains in Star Wars love to hate him. Accordingly, Obi-Wan developed a number of heated rivalries during his time as Jedi. Like what?
Like Boba Fett.
Like Boba Fett. A New Hope was primarily about Luke embarking on his hero's journey.
Darth Maul.
But yeah, he fought Darth Vader. He fought Darth Maul. The dialogue during the Death Star duel made him seem like their fight was addressing a long-standing rivalry, and to some extent it was. During the Clone Wars, the two spent years together as master and apprentice, and then Anakin turned to the dark side, and they had a vicious duel on Mustafar. Yet both of their confrontations were spur of the moment, and Obi-Wan went to Mustafar to kill Vader, not to start or participate in a feud. Similarly, he happened to find himself on the Death Star in A New Hope, and likely wouldn't have confronted Vader if the Dark Lord hadn't cornered him. But many fans would cite Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan as the greatest rivalry in all of Star Wars, and they wouldn't be totally wrong in doing so. Their feud started in the Phantom Menace when he killed Qui-Gon, and shortly after, young Obi-Wan cut Darth Maul in half, temporarily stopping him. His short-lived reign of terror was met with a let's say a speed bump, and he attached some robotic legs. But yet throughout everything, he survived. And hellbent on revenge, he hunted down Kenobi for years, and there was a number of impressive fights between them during the Clone Wars. And I really wanted to see Darth Maul in this series. Like, that's what I thought this series should be about. I thought it should be about Darth Maul getting his legs back, like that whole thing. I want to see Darth Maul on the big spider thing, or you know what I mean, like all of that, and him finding Obi-Wan and them fighting like they did so many times in the Clone Wars and all of that. But their rivalry ended when Obi-Wan finally did kill him. But the duel was indicative of their whole rivalry, mostly in that it was one-sided. Maul's tragic life was always about revenge, and Obi-Wan was the unfortunate recipient of most of his rage. As such, Maul's versus Obi-Wan was never really a rivalry. It was more often Obi-Wan playing defense against an over-aggressive wannabe Sith Lord. In a bit of irony, Obi-Wan's true rival wasn't even a Sith Lord. It was General Grievous. That was his rival. Their most notable duel was near the end of Revenge of the Sith, when Obi-Wan put an end to the cyborg monster on Utapau. But that confrontation was the end of a long-standing feud that materialized in the Clone Wars. And the animated series was a great bit of storytelling, but it was a prequel, which meant that there were certain limitations. For instance, dialogue in Revenge of the Sith prevented Anakin from meeting Grievous during the series. However, because Grievous was a primary antagonist, he needed a rival to face throughout the whole series, and Obi-Wan fell into that role. And the two of them had multiple lightsaber duels over the series. They were always smack talking, and all of that. And it became, in fact, it became apparent that the two of them would overtly ignore other opponents in a bid to take each other on. While that's a bit odd on the surface, it actually makes perfect sense. Grievous hated Jedi. Obi-Wan was the epitome of the Jedi code, so it was a given that Grievous would want to have it out for him. And it makes even more sense considering both Obi-Wan and Grievous enjoy smack talking. Of course, Obi-Wan ended up winning the rivalry, but Grievous gave him plenty of fits over the course, of the Clone War. Oh, Bad Batch too, yo. Bad Batch season 2
got pushed back to later this year. It's supposed to come out in the spring. Yeah, and then they pushed it back, so everybody's kind of upset about that. Bad Batch has a cult following now. But I think they did it because you got Obi-Wan coming out. You got Mandalorian. So I think what they're gonna do is that's what we're gonna get in between the hype of Obi-Wan and the new Mandalorian series. We're gonna get Bad Batch.
That's smart.
Just to keep the ball rolling.
Is that live action or animated? The Bad Batch.
That's animated.
CGI animated.
It's like Clone Wars.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's just like Clone Wars. You you don't really you're not really into Star Wars like that.
I mean, not heavy, not like
I
you
think you
guys.
said
I'm
that
learning.
before.
I'm
Okay.
learning.
Yeah, I think you said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we love to teach, man. I mean, that's what we do. That's what we do on
Like
this
I'm
show. We
aware of the
talk.
characters, just the lore. I'm still learning.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The best place to find the lore is definitely the Legends novels and the comics. If you're not gonna get into like, and look, if for me, I listen to the audiobooks of Legends, and they're phenomenal. Like they act them out. They've got sound effects. Like they're dope, Stu. If you ever get on Audible, man, and check out the Star
I
Wars Legends
I
novels
did
on
it one
Audible, bro.
time. I did it one time. Yeah, they do. They do have a lot going on.
Yeah, check
Which one I
out the
want? It was
Audible versions.
yeah.
They've
Well,
got
I
the
read it.
Thrawn
Order,
trilogy.
but not read. I
Those are
never
some of
dove
the
that
best
deep
ones.
into the
Yeah,
books.
the best.
I never dove that deep
Nah,
into the books.
yeah, you got to, man. Go. I'm telling you, if you really the best books are probably the Bane trilogy, Darth Plagueis,
Okay.
yeah, the Old Republic, Darth Revan story. If you read those three, if you listen to them three, you're good. You and
Bro,
then
we need a movie about Prince Izor, man. Dash Rendar. They just need to make that. Just make it.
yeah,
They made it into a game. Now we can make it into a movie. Come on, stop.
yeah. I mean,
Just give it to us.
that's all we want. We want that good Star Wars lore, man. Not this made up fucking Ray Palpatine. What is that? What is that? Like, come on, bro. That's just retarded. Like, it's just stupid. Um, we want real shit, man. Come on,
Right.
come on, Lucasfilm. Give us fans what we need.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's all.
Bad Batch, man, it might be pushed back.
It is pushed back. It's official.
Yeah.
We're not getting it till later on this year. It'll get here in 2022, but not when it was supposed to. Plus you
Yeah,
got
the
a lot of other
preview.
things that I can see because you got Stranger Things being released in two sets,
Mhm.
early. You got it released in the spring and then midsummer. And you got something that we get something in like August, and we had a couple big movies. So I think they just don't want it to be overshadowed by anything, and that's giving us
Yeah.
his best shot, man.
Well, the reason
Um,
I say, could be or whatever is because it's a like convoluted thing. Like a Reddit user got their hands on a copy of Star Wars Insider number 209. A photo from the inside page of the magazine shows a production diary of movies and television currently filming. Under the in production section are Star Wars Andor, which is the Rogue One spinoff, and Obi-Wan
yeah.
Kenobi. Below them in the coming soon area is Star Wars The Bad Batch, where it's been in the past. However, the previous display of spring 2022 is now gone, meaning the second season of the animated series is possibly pushed back to the back half of 2022. And an older issue of Star Wars Insider revealed that the spring 2022 release for the Bad Batch was the window for the Bad Batch. Even with it missing, fans could be waiting longer. The Book of Boba Fett recently concluded, which provided a nice tie-in to Mandalorian season 3, upcoming Ahsoka Tano series. It may have set up a Jedi Academy series, please. Since viewers got to see the creation of the dog. Listen, I'm telling you, that's where you get into the legends. Shit, Luke Skywalker becoming Luke Skywalker, and that's what Mandalorian gave us. That really makes me praise it as Star Wars, savior. Because, like I said, before that, they had Luke, a retarded little old hermit drinking out of walrus titties. That was just not Luke Skywalker, not what he should be. And so we saw him in Mandalorian coming in full Luke Skywalker, just knocking Terminators left and right, just crushing them and all that. And that's but making that little dome that he was building in the Book of Boba Fett for him and Grogu. That's the same little building that you saw in Force Awakens when they showed, or I don't know, as maybe his Last Jedi when they showed Kylo Ren, uh, him and Luke going at it, and they crushed the building, and that was Luke's little Jedi Academy. Now Luke had that Jedi Academy throughout the Legends novels as well. Kylo Ren was not was Jason Solo, not Ben Solo. So there was a Ben Skywalker, Luke's son, and Jason Solo was Han and Leia's son. So they mixed those together and made it Ben Solo for the movie. But the Jedi Academy would be a great series because there's a lot of dope shit that goes on, man. And we would see, obviously, we'd have to see Kylo Ren become who he was. We would probably see either Grogu back and forth, or whatever happens with that. But that would be sick. And since viewers got to see the creation of a new Jedi Academy by Luke Skywalker, as he tried to recruit Grogu to be his first student, that's we can definitely expect a Jedi Academy series. But Star Wars The Bad Batch was officially renewed for season 2 in August 2021. Fans have enthusiastically embraced the action of a Star Wars drama, The Bad Batch, and we're excited to see Star Wars animated universe continue to expand on Disney Plus, said Michael Paul, president of Disney and ESPN Plus. But the entire it could be spring, it could be later. But
it's gonna be later.
I think, like you said, those two, like, we're gonna be well fed with Star Wars shit. Like Andor, we got Obi-Wan, we got some more Mandalorian. It's gonna be a lot of stuff to hold us over. I still haven't even finished Bad Batch season 1, so.
And that's another reason why. You haven't finished it. Said you finished it, they might have brought it out in the spring.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true. But let's see. All right. Well, trying to keep within our 1 hour show time. It's been an hour and 36 minutes, and we had fun. We chopped it up. It is Wu-Tang Wednesday. So to the tribe, peace to everybody. We'll be back Saturday for DC Day with Sada and Spade and Snoop Dogg, and we'll chop it up on all things DC
and all things Batman.
And all things Batman.
Oh God!
I think this is gonna be. This is gonna be one of the best movies, the best Batman movies. I think. I hope. It seems like it's gonna be like my kind of Batman, man. It's like a really dark, you know what I mean, gritty. That's what I hope we get.
We'll see.
But let's talk about it.
All
right, y'all. Peace.
Bye.